into a score. NECC will get credit for it. I think an Army player came across to try and get that one, but just consistently elongating these plays. NECC bumps that goalie, and NECC does get the double to be able to make it happen.
Apologize for the broadcast as well as it did go down temporarily. Hopefully you're able to hear our voices in the meantime. Try to radio broadcast it. If not, we are back in full action now. So just refresh the browser. Let them know in chat to do so. NECC shot on, and the velocity carried that back and into the back of the net. Cougars up 4-2.
You could say that Mr. Queso here is cheesing on them, looking for every single chance they can to be able to put these extra shots on target. If he's not delivering the first blow, if he's not expanding and extending these plays, then he's making sure that the next tap after a teammate is going to be lethal. But Army, they're going to still threaten. They've been able to do so twice. End up finding NECC in space. I think he was looking for a demo, ended up getting sideswiped himself. No bumps to occur, and Army just has not been able to kind of clog up the offensive half more often to really keep Misericordia from progressing upfield.
And they have been doing a good job to really limit chances by getting the bumps on to their opponents here. And Misericordia Cougars, who have since the halfway mark been in full control, as JJ not able to get past NECC as he just stays patient. NECC's looking at a wide open net. Unfortunately, he couldn't do much with it. That being said, they still have with 26 seconds left, so won't be too big of an error as they'll look to kill even more time on the offensive side of the field and in that corner as Joe V will get it over to NECC. He'll kill even more time. Good patience there, but loses it. And Joe V now on the backtrack. Coco, a chance. It'll go up the wall here. A touch away. JJ needing a goal here in the next 5. Can't do so. It'll be Misericordia with the first game win. And they looked really good in that second half, Hill Monkey Man.
They did. I mean, they had to really kind of stop off the Army from being able to march downfield because they were really finding their chances to be able to go down and take some more demolitions, or really kind of give themselves some space, make use of counter plays because there's a lot of trust in NECC. I mean, obviously, there's a ton of trust in NECC. Why wouldn't you? 50% from the field. He gets a hat trick in his first game. They have 13 shots to the likes of 6 from Army. But that's also going to open up those gaps if you get a little bit too overconfident. Not saying they were, but Army playing patient. They just have to be able to take the attack to Misericordia when they have those chances.
Exactly. They did a good job to hang in there, too. Army West Point, of course, I mean, they have a great record to show for it. They're a very strong team, but it's kind of intimidating going up against the likes of NECC on the other side of the pitch. I don't think it's coincidence that they're at the 6-0 mark like they are because, I mean, they're just taking games by control. He had a hat trick in that one. I expect no less. So when you have to anticipate that your team, the team across the pitch and the player across the pitch, NECC, is most likely going to get a hat trick every single game, because of the amount of shots and his accuracy, you have to match that. You have to find some offense. It's just a matter of how do you get it done. And for me, I honestly don't have a solution when NECC's on the other side of the pitch.
If we had solutions, we'd be at that level of play, I think.
Exactly, yeah.
we
like to think so.
Yeah. But you also have to cut down on his chances. And if that means a little bit more physicality, or if that just simply means to cut down on his challenges in free space, then that's what you got to do. Now, you don't overcommit to it. You keep it into your rotation and do it when you absolutely can. It's going to be Coco after that initial volley and bit of contention for the early half minute and more. That they're finally going to have the Army pressing on. JJ climbed the ladder looking for the 50, but NECC is just sure-handed and sure-footed looking for another kick. It's Coco in space. He's got to be able to get it away, and he will backflip. Oh, the intimidation factor is there, and of course, NECC, he strikes first.
Yeah, I was about to call it out right there, too. Down the field and didn't get much on this, did he? But as a bouncer, and I mean, it was in an awkward spot. You forced the defense back with it. I expected him to go top shell with that, which maybe is what he wanted to do, too. But he put the defense in an awkward spot. Definitely the intimidation factor, and yeah, no other than NECC to give them 1-0 lead.
Oh, but the Army, if they can just keep pace with Misericordia, they have nothing to worry about because they were able to do it earlier. A nice passing play. The third man, JJ, has a wandering, flailing Joe V30 trying to do a 360. Multiply that out times 12, I think, maybe. And they just cannot take advantage of opportunities that are presented to themselves. NECC the midfield pass, and NECC is going to try and give it back to it. A little bit of a redirect, and he's just able to bury it enough to keep both of his teammates able to rotate and get more boost.
GJ from this back wall. Unfortunately, right back into the hands of Joe V, who will try again off the corner too, and NECC is going to have the advantage here. Uses his speed to get to it, but so did the defense, and now JJ will take a shot on. for Misericordia. It was Sink that's back. He awkward off that back wall. And we'll have to try and wait back. Nick jumping on it. Sean is there and sneaks it in again. And I don't know what's going on with this Army West Point team, but that was a couple of chances which I feel like they should have had, Hail Monkey Man, and just weren't able to get to you.
I can feel for Coco because he's the second man that has to make that attack, but he's in the exact same rotational point as his back lineman. So when he saw the heat that was on that ball, even though you had a couple rotating, it was still a little bit speedy. And they get a nice save here on the side of Misericordia as Nick is able to add up to his stat total. This one on target. Actually, we'll find the post for once. But very difficult. You have to play this mental game already, and then you're now finding yourself a couple steps behind as we approach halftime.
And this man right here has been responsible for 5 of all 5 goals for Misericordia, as he has been just excellent. Hat-trick in game number 1. Now looking to build on that, maybe you get a second one as well. Unless Army West Point has something to say with it. Sink able to get a big clear out. It'll be JJ to chase back to the corner. We'll get the touch out. Nick already up and beating him here on the side wall. It'll be Joe V to try to get it next with Santa with a great jump to play back out. And Sink forced to the back wall. Kind of loosely plays that one, but a full commit here from Army West Point. And so they'll have to get on the backtrack themselves. Nick trying to get that bump off the back wall, not able to accomplish it. Now there's Sinks up for that one. Not quite the angle he wanted.
See, I liked what JJ did earlier because he saw Nick coming to him. And that's, again, the intimidation factor is there. You know he's a threat, but able to just get something of a touch. Challenge him in open space and deny him the free one. This is going to be Joe V30 trying to dish it up back to Nick, who's just never giving up on a play. The man is chasing this ball down as if his life depended upon it. Every single touch is $1, and he's trying to become a millionaire. JJ looking for Santa in space. Coco's to the opposite side of the pitch. They lean this pitch on its side. 90 seconds and now less, Bear. And Army looking to try to get something on the board. This attack has been short-lived, but they have this open space in front of them. Huge clear again.
Yeah, no other than Nick to get a whole bunch on that one and get a touch around them as well. But Santa able to get another touch to try and work it out of the zone. But this trap zone continues to press for Misericordia. Now Nick tries to use back wall. Coco, great positioning there on the back wall himself in order to allow a big clear here. But again, no other than Nick in the right positioning. His decision-making is just second to none in this one, which is, I mean, to be expected here.
NOTN, no other than Nick. The man is doing everything that he can to keep this solid, perfect record on the side of Misericordia. Going to the ceiling, looking for the reset. He's got it, and it's going to go top shelf. That is 3, and that is yet another hat trick. A couple were assists in this game, but otherwise his performance continues to be impressive.
Look at the control from the top. From the start of that play, really, as he caught it on the side wall, which is hard enough, but then you drag it. Quite literally dragged it to the ceiling in order to make sure he had that second flip to put it top shelf. That's just good recognition, good mechanics as well. Joe V wants one. As Nick trying to get off the back wall of the opponent to get it as well. Unable to do so, but it will be another win, more likely than not here for Misericordia, who's looked super strong, and I hesitate to call it a carry, but I mean, he's done so much.
I mean, the man has giant shoulders, and you know, when you wear that title with pride, there's a big reason for it. It's because you earned it, and the man has it right here.
Absolutely.
Sink, though, is going to go top shelf. There has been one goal that wasn't scored by Nick. Just one single goal. I think that we had a total of 7. So he doesn't have all of them, which means he's trying to outplay whoever stole that from him, because that's probably how he feels. But regardless, Misericordia, they're looking pretty solid here, Bear. 2 up. And they completely shut out Army West Point, and they're looking to go match point in game 3.
Yeah, when your offense is so effective and your defense is clicking like that, well, that's a deadly combination. I said it before this game even kicked off that anticipate Nick to have a hat trick every time, so you have to amp up your offense any way that you can. And maybe the way to do that is quicker passing, try to get Nick to commit and, you know, toss it around him. Find a way to get that touch that beats him initially and try to, you know, finish the rest on a 3v2. That being said, Nick is such a good player in the fact that he can recognize a play before it develops, get up quickly. You can't even blink and he'll be in your face. So you have to find quicker ways to get around him.
Oh, yeah. And they were doing a couple of great things against Nick in that early game before this really got out of control. Luckily, not too much that was laid against them, but you have 5 of the 9 shots came out of Nick. So obviously he had a little bit of extra space to at least put that pressure on, find him in that space just before he makes his attack. You have to make that read. It's going to be difficult because then you have to elevate to that level of speed. We go game number 3, Army West Point trying to improve their record, see how they can shape up into that top 4, but they've got to get past Nick, who is an army of his own.
And him right off the back wall to begin things. So Santa gets up there as fast as he can in order to try to deny it. It'll be Joey V off the back wall, and Sink trying to come from a crazy angle to get that one. Wasn't quite able to do that. Nick across again and sets up his team. Although he's not able to sink it, Sink is. And it's 1-0 for Misericordia.
If he's not going to score it himself, you know what? He'll give one away, and I think he probably was just an inch away of a little boop, but it turns into a scoop, and Sink sinks one quickly. And this, again, just seems to be a pace setter for the likes of Misericordia, as they just want to continue to be perfect on the season. But Army West Point, they've got a lot to say about it. There's a lot of great chances that they have been able to give themselves this one from the ceiling, maybe drop down. It's going to be a crawler, and it's just off target.
Oh, just that much off. We rewind back to that goal, Monkey Man, and if Misericordia doesn't get that bench from the 2 back, they were in trouble there. An initial save there from Army would have made the difference. Coco almost snuck one in as well. But yeah, they would have been in trouble there with the triple commits. And maybe, perhaps, a chance from Army, but just that one initial save was the difference where they would have made it. They would have had a decent shot to make a counterattack. Zeke tried to put it past. It did not fool Coco with a quick reaction there.
That's where you want to find these briefly fleeting existing chances to really punish Misericordia. They believe in Nick. They believe in that forward press, but they also believe in it so much that it gives you a ton of time. Oh, it's Joe V30. He's in a one-on-one. It's a handoff over to Santa, but Nick immediately turned around to harass him. JJ, he's going to climb the ladder. He sees Nick waiting. Doesn't have any boost. See if he can get a pinch. Works it beyond him. Another attack in the Army. They're trying to stab their way forward. More than a minute and a half has gone into this 3rd game. And more than a third, if not 75% of possession has been held by Misericordia, but Army with the late press is really able to get him off his wheels.
They're doing exactly what they need to be doing, and quite literally there in that last play, Monkey Man, as they get another bump on him. But they've been playing keep away from him the entire time, and I don't blame them one bit. That is definitely the strategy. That is definitely the play. We'll see if they continue to stick with it here as we move forward, and this time ticks down for Army West Point. He tries to make something happen here with Sink. He's going to settle. Gets the flick off as well. It's a cross. Santo up early to get the challenge and does. And we'll move forward because of it. A good bounce off that wall too. And Coco takes a shot. But it's quickly denied in the midfield by Sink. They continue to press forward. Nick going to get a decent clear off the back, but no intended target when he was trying to clear it. Which will allow Army to step up on it. Now will be JJ. Off back wall, but Jovi man on the spot here to kind of shield things. Maybe trying to beat in the defense. Maybe a mistake of a flip. Either way, it works out for him and back down the field. Can able to get back at Sansa, but for a minute I was scared, Monkey Man.
Yeah, it really was. I was wondering how that giant gap just developed, and next level vision to be able to find it. But this can be a counterplay. Nick is going to be the first one on the ball. He's going to try and give it over to Sink, who will demo JJ, and this possession does go neutral to the corner. You see Nick again with the initial touch, and he has been able to kind of readjust himself into that back line. He realizes he needs to allow Joe V30 rather, and Sink those touches in that 1-2 combo. Sink will get the demo again. Is the next man up? No. Army's not overcommitting their forces, but they definitely need to start doing so here. Oh, and a save by Sink.
I have no idea how he got back to that one. I thought it was in for sure. He chose the bouncer, which was the right shot, and yet they still hold strong on the goal line. That was impressive. And now Army West Point down to just a minute 26 left. I tell you, you get all these chances, but you blink, and you're down to limited time. It'll be JJ next. He's on it. Beats Sink to it. Off the side wall now. We'll try to get a touch in, but not able to do so as Coco looks for a double touch himself. But not to be. Nick carries. Cut out by Santa. Really quickly, JJ beats him to it, and will tie it at 1 with the minute 6 remaining.
Look at what happens when you beat Nick once, right here. You have all the confidence of Joe V30, and then you go forward, you make it happen twice. Santa and his sleigh, they're coming in big time, and we're suddenly tied up at 1. No great amount of separation has occurred for Misericordia, as Army have kept it close, but they have to be able to build upon this, make the most of it. That's a setup, but no one there for Misericordia. That drop in, and it's gonna be cleared.
And now's the time to stick to your guns, quite literally, for your Army West Point, as you have done a good job to establish your presence here, to get the game plan going, and hopefully keep with it. It's Joey V. No, Joe V30 will give them the lead again. It's Misericordia. I said you got to watch out. You got to keep pumping. Unfortunately, they let off the gas for just a second, and this is one of those teams that is capable of regaining the lead. They're up 2-1.
Sometimes you keep your greatest weapon hidden for that late term to see what's going to happen, see what all the distractions you can cause and what will develop. Well, they put theirs out there in the way of Nick, but then all of Army started sleeping on Joe V30, and the guy can shoot. He has the speed. Nick trying to set up sync again. Joe V30 with the bowler, and he finds it one time.
That's just pure strength, Tail Monkey, man, as Nick is going to set this one up with that double touch across, and Santa did everything they could to try to get it away. Did not see Joe V right there in the slot, and he just powers it home with a couple of touches, and that should secure it for the most part. Still 31 seconds left, but Misericordia, they're on a whole new level, and yet another demo here from Nick as well.
When you can get everyone else around Nick to perform, then you've got a squad that is nigh unbeatable, and they have yet to be beaten in series play. A few games, sure, but this squad, they've been able to take it to the limit. They have not suffered a single series loss, and that's not happening today. Off of Nick, Joe V30, and the Army, they're going to be sent marching home. It's going to be a 3-0 sweep, and they're going to improve to 8-0.
Man, what a season for this squad. Yes, you have Nick on the time on the squad, and you know we've called his name multiple times throughout this series, but at the end of the day, it was Joe V that stepped up at the very end and got those 2 goals to secure it. So maybe leading by example, because Nick was obviously the X factor. I think Army did a good job of limiting his ability to create plays there for quite a bit of time there in that last game. But hell, Monkey Man, the difference was his team stepped up. Joe V stepped up. Sink made a couple plays there as well, as he had a goal and an assist, so nobody sleep on either. Joe V at the very end is able to secure things, not Nick like we thought it might be.
Yeah, and that, you know, that's fine. That shows a depth of roster. If you don't have everyone able to kind of surround and keep Nick just going, then you have to be able to be the ones that will step up thereafter. You cannot rely on a single cog in 3v3. There's a lot of presence, of course, with that talent, with that level, with that next step up, but there's also the guys that are right around him, and Nick is challenging them to be like, hey, when I'm under duress, I trust you to be able to finish it. Joe V30 did exactly that, and Army, they do suffer another series loss. They did great to be able to keep pace with it, but it's that late game mentality and the finishing factor that really gave Misericordia that ability to win.
And my favorite thing about this is we're probably going to see the series again. And although it's a 3-0, it seemed really close. And we'll probably get to see it again in the playoffs, right? Because both of these teams up at that level. So super excited to see what they do come playoff time. Well, we're going to take a quick break here on the NECC network, but don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with the next matchup this Tuesday, Rocket League night.
Just let me lose interest. Couldn't find a better than this. If you swear, girl, you leave. Just let me know so I won't let it down. You leave. Just let me. Couldn't find a better than this. If you swear, girl.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Bit of an extended break from the NECC, but we are finally back. Thank the Lord. I am Lychee, and for the first time in a long time, alongside me is Bass from the past. What's up, buddy? Long time no work together.
It's been I can't even think about how long it's probably been. I want to say since
Long
probably last season at the NECC was the last time you and I got to hop into the booth together. But hey, we are back here on this lovely Tuesday to get in some more collegiate Rocket League action. And this is an interesting one. This is the Battle of the Concordias here. It's Concordia, Wisconsin versus Concordia, Nebraska. And they may not necessarily be coming into this one with the same record, but at least there's a little bit of beef, quote unquote, behind the scenes. Not really sure how to phrase it.
Yeah, behind the scenes, it may become very public here on the pitch momentarily as we look to hopefully get the players on in a second. Let's talk about the number side of this, Bass. So listen, there's no denying that Wisconsin are top dog right now in Navigator Cyan. They're 6-0. They've lost 3 games, not series, games the entire season. 18-3. 4 of their 6 wins were complete sweeps. There's no other way to describe it. This is going to be a top-heavy battle. Nebraska are going to need to fight for every little scrap that they can possibly get tonight.
Yeah, they really are. And it's going to be an interesting battle with them. But again, we don't want to say that it is impossible because they've been pushed to the limits a couple of different times here. Some teams have taken some games away from them. So let's see. Can we see some success here out of Concordia, Nebraska? I really do think that they're going to be able to get this one done, give us a good back and forth. But one thing is for certain. A good first game is going to be, well, I'd say essential here for Concordia, Nebraska.
Let's get this underway. 5 minutes up on the clock, ladies and gentlemen. It is a best of 5. Acre, Sausage Llama, and 2 Dog Lucky going up against OG Baba, Beaston, and Tay CJ. Speaking of which, will have the ball taken away from him. 2 Dog Lucky feeds it over to Sausage Llama. That is towards an open goal. Goal number 1. Guess what? Going the way was Wisconsin.
Yeah, not too surprising. Like we said, here Wisconsin come into this one the heavy favorites. The way they do so, a little bit surprising considering a pinch towards the net there. But that being said, it's not necessarily the most surprising outcome overall here. Like we said, Nebraska gonna have to be very careful here in this first game. They need momentum in their favor, and giving up a goal early is not going to do them any favors at all. And, well, here comes another goal that could potentially come. Again, offense building here for Wisconsin. And if they get too many goals early in this one, Lychee, they might just run away with this before we can even start to see the offense blossom for Nebraska.
Which is the exact thing you don't want to see. You want Nebraska to feel like they can get at least a little bit comfortable. I know, easier said than done against an opponent that is currently 6-0 on the season, but you need to do everything possible to stack the cards in your favor. And this one is wide open. Sausage Llama feeds that one across. An interesting decision. I feel like the move would have been just kind of feed it across the face of goal, but I don't know. Maybe they wanted a little bit more of a challenge. Acre now down Sausage Llama. That's a shot off wide. Baba sends it out to the right side. 90 seconds gone. Wisconsin still in the driver's seat.
They're looking pretty comfortable right now, though, on the side of Nebraska here. No longer the same sort of panic we saw in the first minute of play. Give them a little bit of extra time, and they're finally starting to settle in. But does that mean they're going to start to get some offense against their opponents here? Not quite able to. Wisconsin looking very comfortable on the back end here. 2 Dog Lucky should clear this out. And notice how short-lived that is, Lychee. Again, we were talking about that pressure. We need to see Nebraska not only get some solid shots on target, but really threaten the defense of Wisconsin.
I'm liking it so far. 3 minutes left now. Nebraska seem like they've settled into a little bit of a rhythm. The problem is that rhythm has left them back in their own half. They haven't really been able to break out and put anything up on the offensive side of the field. Although I say that, and Beaston there was trying to, make some waves. What a demo there. Tay CJ taken out. 2 Dog. Can't get, gets it's sort of half-hearted bump there. Not much progress made, though. Sausage Llama out to the right side, picks up the full boost, leaves it for a pass from 2 Dog Lucky, can't make contact. TCJ will send this not quite clear. Beaston with the backflip to correct the positioning. Acre, man, just running riot through the Nebraska defense, trying to get those demos, clear up that backfield to give themselves a second goal that they feel that probably they should have gotten a little bit earlier in this match.
They might also need it at a certain point. At this moment, we're starting to finally see some pressure out of their opponents, and this is why a one-goal lead is so dangerous here, Lychee. When you've got a one-goal lead, all it takes is one mistake, one missed touch out of midfield, and you're all tied up.
1-1. Enough said. And you know what, Bass, I will say, this is the interesting thing about the Navigators division is that, yeah, you've got Wisconsin sitting on a 6-0 record, but this is, no offense to anybody, the second goal from Bob. I'll get back to my point because all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Nebraska are a goal up.
Oh boy, this is quite the turnaround here after not being able to get any sort of momentum for the first couple of minutes. To find themselves a second goal and to find it so soon after their first as well. This is not looking great for Wisconsin here, but it's looking fantastic for Nebraska. Again, like we said, they need momentum in their favor. A good first win here is going to be massive, but first, they need to get there. Two-dog lucky with perfect placement underneath the bar, and we are all tied up yet again.
Players found their shooting boots all of a sudden. The past 60 seconds have been an absolute goal-scoring festival. Minute 44 on the clock. It's back to 2-2. I'm gonna attempt to revisit the point I was trying to make. The good thing about Navigators is that, yes, you have teams like Wisconsin who are sitting on a 6-0 record, but this is the lowest level of gameplay that we have here in the NECC. Goal number 3 coming the way of Sausage Llama. The ball could go either way because even teams like Wisconsin are fallible. I know it doesn't seem like it because they have such a strong record that's followed them throughout the entirety of the season, but there are still those lapses in judgment that if an opponent is on their toes enough, they can take advantage and they can hopefully pull off a game or two.
I mean, theoretically, they should be able to. This is part of why Rocket League at this level is so much fun to watch. It's just so incredibly volatile. It goes back and forth, and you never really know what's going to happen. I mean, look at the record here so far this season for the side of Wisconsin, who are trying to get themselves a 4th goal here. Not quite able to find it, but are going to still continue on offense here. But it's not as if they have had a completely perfect season. They have dropped 3 games, like you said, and one of them's a little bit surprising. They dropped 2 games and went to game number 5 against, I believe, MBU, who are currently sitting at 2-4 overall. Speaking of 2-4, 4-2 on the scoreline as Wisconsin finds another goal. But again, it just shows they are vulnerable. If Nebraska can find enough momentum in this game and really throughout this series, we could see an upset.
I'm hoping for it. As a neutral viewer, that's all I want is for expectations to be subverted. I'm hoping that Nebraska is able to get that one game off of Wisconsin. You and I were talking before we went live. I think that Nebraska's minimum goal here should be pulling one game off of their opponents because it's no secret that Wisconsin are the absolute leaders of this division. It's probably safe to assume that they're going to come away with the victory this late in the season. And so, you know, therefore, if Nebraska are able to get just one game off of an opponent that is this highly skilled, that in my book should be a victory for them because Nebraska are on the ragged edge of playoff qualification. They need every tiny little detail to be in their favor.
Yeah, like you said, it really is about making sure that they just keep themselves in the best foot forward possible here and making sure to keep themselves in playoff contention, which right now they very much are. That being said, not the greatest start. It really isn't, unfortunately, because the fact of the matter is after finding 2 goals back-to-back to then give up 3 in a row to Wisconsin, not really going to bode well for the team. That being said, new server. Going to take a quick little second, get everything set up, so maybe we can see a little bit of a momentum shift there. Maybe we can see some players, you know, take a deep breath, go talk to their coach, go figure out what's going on here, because I think there are a couple of things that really do need to be sort of pinpointed here, and I would say it's starting with the defense there. Nebraska do not look bad right now, but their defense does look a little bit spotty, and against a team like Wisconsin, who are so solid on offense, they're just going to keep poking holes in your defense until eventually they find a gap, and they're going to score upon those gaps when they get the opportunity.
And that's the thing too, is yet again, it's another easier said than done situation, especially at this level of gameplay, is consistency. That you'll hear everybody on the esports side of Rocket League say that Rocket League is one of the most difficult games to be consistent at, and consistency in Rocket League is what wins you games, and in the long run is what wins you championships as well. At this level of gameplay, consistency is so difficult to find. You have hot and cold swings multiple times a day, let alone like, a couple times throughout the week. So if it's happening all in the same match, and game one you're feeling on fire, and game two all of a sudden there's some mental block where your brain isn't connecting properly with your fingers and nothing's going right, and the communication isn't there, and you're making like slight mechanical mistakes, it's very possible to see all of those things shape up here in the Navigators division. So you feel for these players a lot, because they can feel or they can look so good for like a 2 to 3 minute stretch in one game, and then all of a sudden have 2 or 3 catastrophic mistakes, and it wipes out all of that fantastic process or progress that team has made. So I'm crossing my fingers for a little bit more consistency from Nebraska, but for the sake of evenness, I'll say for both teams. How about that?
Yeah, we'd like to see consistent play on both sides here. Again, at the end of the day, as commentators, the only thing we're really looking for here is Game 5. That's always the goal. Just a good back and forth series that's really entertaining to watch, and I think we can see that here. I really do think we can see that, because like you said, there's always chances for teams to kind of go back and forth here, and for the momentum to shift either way. I take the term, I've been using this a lot lately. Have got to give credit to Hysteria where it is due here. Talking about the catalyst. What is that ignition that starts and sparks off a team and really gets them that momentum in their favor? Last time, it was one random goal that went in for Nebraska. Can they find something to give them that spark of life here in game 2? I would say it's kind of necessary here, Leachy. If they go 2 games down, all of a sudden they're looking at a reverse sweep, and against the #1 team who's only dropped 3 games, let alone series all year, that's going to be a bit of a tall task.
Yeah, not an enticing situation to think about. Let's hope it does not come to it. Game 2, ladies and gentlemen, 30 seconds gone, still 0-0 between Concordia, Wisconsin and Concordia, Nebraska. Would you look at that? Aker, very patient with the clearance, flips it over Baba. TCJ will get beaten on the 50, but does lose possession. Two Dog Lucky looking for the back pass, or the pass off of the backboard. Beeston up nice and high to kill that one. Open goal temporarily. Baba needs to jump on this one. Can't get there quite quickly enough. Two Dog Lucky slams it off the sidewall. Tay, no boost, hands it off to Baba. Open shot opportunity, but Two Dog Lucky stands up super tall to knock this one away. Good offensive situation here for Nebraska. I want it to last a little bit longer. Some rotational consistency would do them very well.
Yeah, like you said, just making it last a little bit longer so that eventually there's going to be a break in the defense. That's a lot of the reason we're seeing Wisconsin finding so much success right now. They're just putting on this pressure and waiting until an opportunity arrives. It doesn't necessarily have to happen immediately. It just has to happen eventually. And oh my word, here's what happens when you do give them that opportunity. One missed touch on the backboard, and Two Dog Lucky is going to slam home the double tap.
You cannot afford to give them this much space, because that is exactly what happens. I was just kind of observing that it seems that Wisconsin is almost comfortable playing really, slowed down, a lot more patient than their opponents, which is very strange in a 3v3 environment, because in the standard game of Rocket League, you're used to the ball being hit like at least once every couple of seconds, like absolute laser speed back and forth. But at this point, Wisconsin seems super content to just slow the play down, take their time with the build-up, make sure they get the ball exactly where they want it to be, and get it. It's more of a quality over quantity approach, because they don't need to worry about slamming shots on target time and time again, because they know that they have enough quality that when they finally get that good opportunity, it is going to work out more times than not.
It's all what you talked about earlier here, Leachy, that consistency amongst teams. And the unfortunate reality is pretty much anybody at this level, doesn't matter what team it's going to be, is not going to be completely consistent on the back end here. Defense is a place that even professional teams continue to struggle to be consistent at. So if you're going to play this type of gameplay, it's about waiting until eventually the other team makes a mistake on defense. And when that mistake arrives, punishing while you've gotten the chance. And they've done that so many times here. Even if it is just minor little issues on the back end here for Nebraska, Concordia, Wisconsin are accentuating those issues tenfold here by just continuing this pressure and continuing to exacerbate these issues on repeat. With 2 minutes remaining, they don't necessarily have a completely safe scenario here, though. All it takes is one good breakout from Nebraska, and we're all tied up again.
And I'll tell you what also helps consistency is being able to slow the play down and slam goals in like that. Sausage Llama makes it 2 for Wisconsin. I'll stop short of saying running away with it, but man, the lack of offensive opportunities that we've seen from Nebraska, and it's getting harder and harder to avoid saying that.
Yeah, it's getting rather difficult here. It's not to say that Nebraska haven't had any opportunities here, but they just haven't had as many. Just straight up double the amount of shots here for Wisconsin at this point. Let's make it 9 instead. This one off the post. Is there a follow-up? No. TCJ, good touch on out, and the follow-up from Beaston should get a clear for a second. And that's the thing. That's the main reason why it doesn't feel as one-sided as it probably should here. Nebraska are showing a pretty solid defense, but again, the issue is consistency. If you show a solid defense for 9 out of the 10 times there's an approach, that's great. But on that one time, if they're able to strike while the iron is hot, it means the difference between winning the game and losing it. And at the moment, unfortunately for Nebraska, they're about a minute away from losing this one and going down by yet another game here. Like we said, reverse sweep against Wisconsin, it's technically possible, but that might be the most difficult task they'll have to complete this entire season.
Aker and Sausage working together with the passing play. Aker looking for the flick on. Not enough to beat the defense, though. Two Dog Lucky. Nice and high. Can't find contact. Neither can the two players throwing themselves at it. TCJ and Aker facing off. Beaston, the final person on defense, will get this one clear. Now a counterattack building for Nebraska. Zero boost. Tay will commit to this one. That one's open. Beaston gets one back for Nebraska. 32 seconds left. Still very much possible.
Oh my word, this is going to be an interesting scenario here. Nebraska finally have momentum in their favor, and we saw what happened last time. They scored a goal almost immediately here, and with 30 seconds left, it's not just possible, it is honestly somewhat probable here considering how back and forth the series has been. It's up to Wisconsin. Can they avoid that scenario? Honestly, can they find themselves another goal? A little bit of a safety net. No such luck. Two Dog Lucky almost able to get that one in, but what about the follow-up from Aker? Tries to slam it off the backboard. No such luck here, and we're getting down to crunch time, and unfortunately, it's not the team we need on offense right now. It's Wisconsin trying to put in the dagger here, close out this game, and I think they will. They've got a good midfield presence that is just not allowing Nebraska out of their half, and oh, wait a minute. One good touch here. TCJ going the other way, not able to keep it up, though. Wisconsin, indeed, take their second game in a row and are on the verge of a sweep.
You had a little bit of belief there, just that tiny little bit. It was like you saw wide open green pastures, and then you look down, you see that little shadow marker of the ball, and it's just too far in front of the nose. Shame. I won't say... Honestly, I won't say that Nebraska looked necessarily better than they did in game one. They had some extended offensive pressure early on in the stages of game two. It only lasted for about like 20 to 30 seconds, and you know we'll touch on it again. I'm looking for a longer amount of pressure because the longer you keep a team, well, any team, not just a team like Wisconsin, but any team under extended pressure, the more likely they are to make a mistake. It's a shame that that pressure dried up as quickly as it did because they were, you could feel it was like a person just kind of chipping away at a brick wall. Pieces were starting to come off, and then right when it was starting to look promising, they all retreat back. They let all of the pressure dissipate, and then Wisconsin was able to rebuild the wall and press forward on offense. So I want that same exact thing that we just saw, but I want it multiplied by like 3 or 4. It's possible for Nebraska to take a game here, but they need to be so on top of their act when it comes to their offensive opportunities.
100%. And I think that's all going to start with their midfield there. We saw that at the end of that game, Wisconsin really locked in and just wasted time based on the fact that they had a midfield presence that did not let Nebraska out of their half. So let's see. Can we finally see that type of midfield presence here out of Nebraska? It's going to be rather difficult for them, but it is going to be possible, especially considering I think it is the Battle Bus squad that has now arrived for Wisconsin. I think all 3 of them are in Battle Buses at this point. And, listen, I have nothing against the car itself, even if I am not very good with this hitbox. But we saw Justin score a flip reset in the same hitbox like a week ago. So, hey, let's see what happens.
I honestly don't want to work with you anymore because you didn't hold a negative opinion of this car, but I'll remain professional and I'll stay on the microphone at least till the end of the series. Oh, get it together, Lychee. We got this. Two Dog Lucky waiting for this one to come onto the nose. Beeson can't get that ball. This one off the backboard. No! Pinched off the underside of the crossbar. You feel like Nebraska were kind of caught between a rock and a hard place. Some attempt needed to be made on the ball. It's just unfortunate that that's what wound up happening.
You could say rocking the battle bus there at that point. 1-0 here in favor of Wisconsin. And at this point, Nebraska gonna need to try and turn this one around as best possible. They need something to be that catalyst. Like we spoke about before, it feels like this team is just barely on the verge of being able to compete against Wisconsin here and really give them a good run for their money, but they need something to give them that spark of life, to give them that energy that can really propel this offense to become a threatening one.
I really thought their plan A was going to be to get ahead first. You know, not exactly the simplest of tasks. The shot from Beeson off two portions of the word work. Baba comes in for that follow-up touch. They're back even. That is exactly what Nebraska needed. Get back into this and get back into it quickly.
I like that from Baba as well, immediately moving up to that one. A little bit aggressive, probably could have played a tad bit back there, but the reality is getting in the face of your opponent and getting them uncomfortable is half the battle here, and that's what we're finally seeing. Wisconsin are not nearly as comfortable on their defense here because of the fact that they are getting pressured so constantly. I call this a nuisance playstyle because it really is exactly that. You're being a nuisance to them. It's annoying to have to play against a team who aren't going to give you the space to develop a play, and that's exactly what it should be. The meta has developed to not allow teams to develop on offense because here's what happens when you give them the room. Another goal going on in, and ZRM will put Wisconsin up by 1.
Well done. Great attempt there by Two Dog Lucky as well, just to get that final little touch. Everybody on the ground is waiting, predicting that ball. They've already committed to a trajectory, and the second that touch comes, no matter how small, you are going to throw off a defender, and that is exactly what happened there. Two Dog Lucky, woohoo, looking to make it 3. Couldn't find that one on target. Reversing turn here off that side wall. Beeson will beat ZRM. Akers the only one back. Needs to be careful about this challenge. Beeson was up nice and high. That one is on target. The clearing bump. ZRM diving across the face of the goal just in time. Baba not the right side of the ball. Pinches that in the incorrect direction, and now, man, Wisconsin get a chance to breathe. It was so close. Nebraska, yet again, they just have these bursts of looking really, really good on offense, but then it's over before it even starts. All the pressure dissipates, and Wisconsin get a chance to breathe.
That's the unfortunate truth here, is that they keep getting so close to finding that first goal, but as soon as they get there, they just can't quite get a grip. And it's a bit unfortunate considering the fact that the team has played so well here in this third game, a much stronger game overall in comparison to the first two by far, but it may not be enough to completely take down this Wisconsin team. And there is why Two Dog Lucky, I would say they've been the MVP so far for this series here. Plays like this just epitomize that.
Oh my God. Oh, I'm in pain. Oh my God. You can see him slam on the brakes. And I was like, no, don't do it. And Baba went sailing past that ball. Oh my Lord. Even in Navigators, we could see filthy, filthy, disgusting plays like that. Well done. Now, man. All right. Collect myself yet again. Nebraska, 2 goals down, 2 minutes to correct that. Decent force play there by TCJ, but nobody on the end to collect. Beeston off the sidewall looking for something to force it back upfield. Baba will be there to receive. Aker coming out in front of that front post. Demo in the backfield, although that will be actually on Baba, curiously. Two Dog Lucky looking to break out of the corner, and does. One last player to beat, but Baba will see it right past him. 90 seconds left here, and TCJ, no, can't find that double tap. Man, Nebraska yet again find themselves in a situation where they need to put the afterburners on. They'll need to do it even more now that the goal gap has increased to 3. It's 4-1.
Oh, unfortunately, I'm going to have to talk about the wise words of our friend Lars Nude here. The 90-second mark has crossed, and we are down by 3 at this point. Looking nigh impossible for Nebraska to come back here. They basically need to get a kickoff goal, and then immediately after that, go right back on the assault on offense here. And that's not going to be an easy task, especially against a Wisconsin team who have shown that they are capable of defense here. Even if they haven't been pressed into defense all that often, when they have to, they stand pretty tall. So let's see, 70 seconds left now, and in my time explaining it, we've wasted a lot of valuable time that, well, Nebraska cannot afford to waste here. Their back's against the wall. They need a goal, and they need it now.
Who bribed you? That's the second NECC caster you've mentioned by name.
Yep.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to talk to somebody after this. 50 seconds left. Baba. Oh, filters it down. No, it's off the underside of the crossbar. Two Dog Lucky will see this one clear. Final 40 seconds and change now off the backboard. Baba, well positioned, will get this one for free. That's a second goal for Nebraska. Too little, too late, I'm afraid.
I mean, there's 40 seconds left. Theoretically, this is possible. I've seen some insane comebacks in my day, but the main thing that you usually see before a comeback starts is momentum in their favor. Last time we saw momentum in our favor for Nebraska, it was a quick couple goals that really gave them that spark. Let's see if maybe this can be that spark necessary here. They are back on offense after a decent kickoff, but no shot has arrived yet. CRM, though, and Two Dog Lucky double commitment. B's going to put this into the backboard, and if this gets scored, there is a chance. No! Touch goes backwards. Probably should have just left that to someone else on the Nebraska team, and in doing so, they've now wasted valuable seconds off the clock, and, well, we are down to too little too late here. 15 seconds left, and let's use this time to shout out another caster at this point. Why not? Shout out Hail Monkey Man and Bearlight, who just got done with the last matchup, because apparently at that point that is my shtick, and I like that shtick. I'm happy to shout out casters who deserve it.
This is illegal. This is illegal. I'm talking to my legal team. Ladies and gentlemen, yet another sweep. The 5th sweep on the season going the way of Wisconsin. Nebraska, I don't know. Bass, I'm going to be a little harsh. I'm going to. I very often remark that there are teams that don't necessarily deserve to be swept. I'm not going to say that Nebraska deserved to be swept, but I don't know that they necessarily deserved a better result than this, because I just didn't see enough offensive capability. I didn't see enough contribution on the attacking side of the ball, and I didn't see enough consistency to warrant anything other than a 3-0 drubbing. I mean, they kept it relatively close in the game-to-game scoreline, but at the end of the day, it's going to go into the books as a 3-0.
Yeah, the reality is that if you're never able to get enough offense, the fact that the scoreline is close doesn't really matter. You have to be threatening to the defense there, and that's something we just didn't see that often there, is that Wisconsin felt very comfortable throughout those games. Even when it started to get close, it didn't really feel like the team was ever going to give up their lead, and that's kind of evident after the first game there, where we did see a lead momentarily for Nebraska, but then immediately, as soon as Wisconsin started focusing on their offense rather than playing that slow defensive game, they all of a sudden got I think it was 3 goals in a row or something like that. So it's one of these things where, yes, theoretically, that should have been a pretty close series there, but the unfortunate truth is that Nebraska really never showed up on their offensive abilities there. And while we saw sparks of life from their offense, it's that consistency that we spoke about all series that just never really arrived.
Consistency is the absolute name of the game, and it is what won Wisconsin this game, whether it was their consistency or their opponent's lack thereof. So that is going to go into the books, as I said, as another 3-0. Wisconsin are 7-0 on the season. And unfortunately, Nebraska slip a little bit further away from playoff qualification. It's starting to look scary for them coming towards the final stretch of this season. Nebraska really need to dig deeper than they ever have to make this happen. I'm crossing my fingers for them. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the first of Bass and my games tonight. We have got one more on the other side of this break, so please stick around because we will be right back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the, what is this, the 6th match in a row here at twitch.tv/remind myself the URL, NECC_esports. I am still Leechy. That is still Bass from the past. And we are still here screaming into microphones about Rocket League. Bass, the next pairing that we have, it's still Navigator Cyan, but on paper at least should be a significantly closer battle as far as the numbers are concerned.
Yeah, this should be a little bit closer of a contest here. And it's also another really important contest, though, that we need to add in here. Both of these teams coming into this one, George Fox Gray as well as MBU, coming into this one with a 4-2 record. The winner of this one quite literally could secure themselves a playoff spot because it's so closely contested here. Two teams from 5th to 8th, two teams at 4-2, two teams at 3-3. You lose this game, it really does shake up everything.
Yeah, it shakes up everything, and more importantly, well, for the winning person, it solidifies everything for themselves. And honestly, either team could take it. I did make a bit of a premature prediction. I do think Missouri Baptist is going to take it purely on the back of what their previous results were throughout the season. Their only two matches that they lost were game 5s, so they went all the way, and then it just slipped out of their fingers at the last moment. But every single other one of their wins, it was a 3-1, a 3-0, then their 2 losses in a row, and then 2 more sweeps. So Missouri Baptist, I would assume, feeling absolutely on fire. In contrast, we have George Fox Gray. They lost their opening game, their opening match of the season 2-3, so that one also went to game 5, but then all of their wins were a lot closer. They had a 3-2, a 3-1, a sweep there, 3-0, and then their most recent game was against Carol B, 1-3-2. I don't know. It hasn't been as convincing of a performance as we've seen from Missouri throughout the season. So for me, Missouri will take this one, but I'm still hoping for a game 5. Please, Lord, let it happen.
Always gotta love a game 5 here, especially when you have teams at this level who are definitely a little bit of an up and down sort of state here. You see a lot of chaos, and chaos lends itself to just entertaining series here. I'm always a fan of chaos. When chaos reigns supreme on a pitch, it means that you're watching a good contest here. And well, let's see if we can get ourselves a good contest here. George Fox versus MBU here. Game number 1 of this best of 5. And like we said, both teams on 4-2. The winner of this one will basically secure themselves a playoff position. And for both teams, that is rather important.
Let's get this underway. 5 minutes on the clock. Call Me Landed, Snorlax Guy, and Big Shrig going up against Blue Phoenix, Dreads, and Shadow Dog. Call Me Landon slamming this one up nice and high. Looking for a follow-up touch. No, actually fakes it out. Dreads does knock it out to the right side. Big Shrig. Kind of probing cross there. Shadow. Right off to the nose to Snorlax, who yet again goes for another booming clear. Follow-up attempt. No, off the crossbar. Landon coming in, slows it down. Shadow Dog needs to be very careful with this sideways clearance. Gets it done. Shrig putting it back on target. Man, George Fox has been absolutely ridiculous on the offense. It barely 60 seconds have gone by, and MBU has been barely able to break out of their own half. Now they've had a little bit of some extended pressure, but oh, what a pinch! What a pinch! What just happened? What was the speed on this ball? 68 miles an hour. Oh, one off. We were so close.
Wait. I'm sorry. How did this even pinch? Off the ground?
Oh, my God.
All right. Well, there's one way to turn it around there. If George Fox is just going to have extended pressure for forever, get extended pressure or no extension of the pressure. Just get pressure that goes directly into the back of the net. Welcome to MBU here. It's a heck of a way to turn this game around, and they didn't even really need to do that. We're only a minute 15 into game number 1, and if that sets the tone for the series and we have goals like that be the norm, all for it. Let's have that type of series. I'm absolutely down for this back and forth.
Welcome to Rocket League, where literally any type of goal can be scored at any point in time. I love it. That's why we say, Bass, that, a 1-goal lead is never safe, because you can have, like, mechanical wizardry or nonsense like we just saw there with some ridiculously fast ground pitch. Anything can happen. You've always got to be on your toes. Big Shrig trying to be on or keep his opponents on their toes. Landed looking for the backboard read, not super powerful, 0 boost. We'll commit to this one though. Can't get past Blue Phoenix in the corner. Blue Phoenix and Dreads smooching in the corner. Can't get this one out. Oh, Dreads staying planted for that block. That one gets clear. Blue Phoenix will pay for it with his life. A nice shot. Dreads makes it 2.
Ooh, MBU showing they're a patient team here. They're fine if they get forced into their own half. If George Fox want to throw as much offense as physically possible at them, they're okay to endure it. Eventually, they'll find a good counterattack. And the team really showing their pace of play is what's dictating this one right now. The fact that they can transition out of their own half, do so incredibly quickly, and then immediately get George Fox on their heels. This is a rather surprising result. We saw the first minute of this game. It looked like George Fox were inevitably going to find themselves a goal, but all of a sudden, we're halfway through this game, and it's a 2-0 shutout. Could be a 3-0 if we can see another goal. No, Dreads puts it off target, and Shadow Dog can't make the follow-up, but MBU, again, their transitions, their quick counterattacks are just making them lethal.
So very close to number 3. Shrigg can't get it past Phoenix. Shadow Dog is up nice and high, but misjudges the height of that ball. Dreads leaves this to Blue Phoenix to clear all the way down to George Fox's half. Oh, out across. Dreads will make it 3, beating the defender at the near post. That one wasn't even close. 2 minutes remaining, and MBU have stamped their authority on this match.
Ooh, Dreads this time getting a favorable touch off the post here. No such luck on that one, bouncing on out here. And MBU looking rather strong in this first game. We thought that this one would be a pretty close contest between the two teams, but I would say the last game that we saw, or the last series, excuse me, which was a 3-0 sweep, felt more closely contested than this one here. George Fox, they might be getting extended offensive pressure, but what does it really mean if they don't find a good shot from it, Leechy? So far here, we've seen George Fox with a lot of extended stays in their opponent's half, but almost every time it results in either a lackluster shot or just no shot at all here. MBU straight to the point. It's not necessarily about getting an overwhelming amount of shots, but about finding that efficiency. And the crazy thing is they've actually found both. They have 7 shots in comparison to George Fox's 4. So at this point, they look like they're the offensive team, even if most of that offense is being found off of counterattacks.
Oh my God! I mean, this, what a competition! I thought MBU was gonna take this series, but I did not think it was going to be this one-sided. Now, here's the good thing, Bass, is that this is only game 1, and I know that's probably one of the most cliched things to say, but I do mean it. It's only game 1, and they're, you know, game 1 jitters are absolutely a thing when it comes to competitions with this level of importance involved. Maybe they just needed a little bit of extra time to kind of shake things out, you know, get the cobwebs out of there and get things rolling again. But man, you can't say you can't say many more good things about a team that is able to start this hot right off the bat, because even excuse me, even if George Fox are a team that takes a little bit longer to warm up, you can't deny that a team like Missouri, who are able to come out of the gate so quickly, 5 goals now, come out of the gate so quickly, swinging so hard, this is going to be in the back of all the George Fox players' minds for the rest of the series. Is like, oh God, what if game 1 happens again? I'm not prepared to deal with this. Mommy, please help.
At a certain point, it really is one of these things where you kind of just got to wonder what's going to be that turnaround. What's going to get George Fox back into this game, back into this series, I would say, overall, because, yes, like you said, it is only game number 1 here, but you take a devastating enough loss in the first game, it can really set the tone for the rest of the series here. So let's hope we see a turnaround here out of George Fox. As the clock ticks down with 20 seconds left, it's all but set in stone in this first game here. And, well, while we have this little bit of extra time here, let's go through some fun facts here, because George Fox Gray gave us the absolute pleasure of putting down some interesting facts about each of their players, and by far, and I mean by far, my favorite one here is going to be about Big Shrigg. Fan of Shaquille O'Neal. That's all he wrote down. That's it. He's just a fan of Shaquille O'Neal and felt that we all needed to know that. So shout out to Big Shrigg for that one. You guys might have not taken the win, but you've taken my heart for sure.
You know what makes me unique? I like a celebrity.
Yes.
That is fantastic. I'm personally am a fan of Snorlax guy. Does several impressions and drives a Prius. So do not forget the fact that this man drives a Prius. Oh my lord. I
I love
this
these
stuff.
fun facts so much, man. It's like the best thing we've added this season. Like, yeah, yes, it's great to be able to know how to pronounce your guys' names and, you know, your major and all that stuff. But combine that with the fact that I think Hyferia brought up someone claimed they could eat a whole pizza in, I think it was like 40 seconds or
It
something
was
like that. Yeah,
28
20 seconds.
Yeah, it was the game just before that. I can't remember who it was on the team, but I saw that. I was like, what?
Oh my word. Yeah, interesting fun facts all around. But let's go back to some actual facts here and let's look back at the game that we just watched here. MBU, a 5-0 dominant performance in this first game here. The fact of the matter is George Fox just needs to start to find some better offenses here. While the beginning of the game really did look like they had an idea of how they wanted to approach offense, once it came down to it and once we saw MBU have a pretty solid defense, the offense no longer really blossomed as much. It felt like they got offensive pressure, but when it came time for a shot, that never really arrived.
George Fox had 5 shots. Like, it wasn't for want of trying. Obviously, when you're going up against a team that has 11, the job is going to be a little bit more difficult, but 5 shots, you should at least be able to find the back of the net once or twice there. And you know, the accuracy wasn't always there, and when it was, MBU just stood up tall every single time to knock that ball away. So I don't know. It's going to take a little bit more than just a straightforward shot on target. You're going to need to work in some tricky passing plays, maybe get up into the face of your opponent, get those bumps and demos going on. I'm a huge fan of physical play, especially physical play that doesn't happen right off of the bat. Maybe you realize that you need to implement it later on, and then you successfully do manage to implement it. A team that's capable of changing their playstyle on the fly is a team that makes me very happy. I hope that George Fox becomes that team at some point in the series, but man, they got to do it fast because yet again, they find themselves a goal down to their opponents.
Fortunately so here and very early into this game as well. Only 40 seconds gone here and already MBU out the gates firing. Last time when we were here, it was basically still George Fox with that offensive pressure. This time they are not missing a beat. MBU seriously putting on this pressure and seriously trying to find themselves a second goal here. And I'm starting to worry for George Fox if it's a bit of them getting into their own head as well. When you take a 5-0 loss, it can be kind of detrimental, and now we're seeing that as they're playing a lot more patiently. They are no longer as bold with their challenges, and, well, unfortunately, that lack of bold challenges has now led to space, and MBU doing the most with that space.
Yeah, you can say that again. I mean, every single Fox player was past that near post, which is never where you want to be on a defensive rotation. It's so easy to get beat out there because all the opponents need to do is knock it long, and that's exactly what MBU did. They saw the opportunity and they took advantage of it. And man, Bass, there's no other way to say it. George Fox are going to be hurting now. Goal number 3 for MBU. The hurt is not stopping, and I will say, respect to MBU, they're not taking their foot off the pedal. They see a weakness, and they will exploit it to the very end.
Yeah, they really are doing a great job right now. They're just kind of putting themselves in the best position possible here, because the reality is that even if you feel like a 3-0 lead is going to be comfortable enough that you can take the win, we've said this before, at this rank, it's so volatile. One spark of life can change this entire series here, and if George Fox can find that, all of a sudden you're in a very dangerous position here. So MBU, keep on knocking while you've got the opportunity here. You've got 3 minutes, over 3 minutes, I should say, continuing in this game. And if you can find yourselves, I would say, a 4th goal, a 5th goal, you might as well just wrap up the series at that point. Because again, like we said, momentum, huge factor here. And if you can have 2 5-goal games back-to-back, momentum isn't just in your favor. Momentum is entirely in your side, and you're about to flood the boat on the other side with the excess momentum in your half.
Landon trying to clear this long. Blue Phoenix knocks it out across the face of their own goal. Well, still has possession of it as well. Gets a 3rd touch in a row. Keeping the momentum going from Missouri Baptist. Sent long now, Big Shrigg. Safe back pass, honestly. Not the worst play. Keep the possession if you know that nothing is going to come of the initial push up field. Oh, that one's dangerous. Bouncing down, Shrigg will send this wide, but only as far as Blue Phoenix, who slams this with the nose of the car. That is goal number 4 for Missouri Baptist.
Oh my, they're just continuing to put on this pressure. Shot after shot after shot after shot here. We thought that they had an overwhelming amount of shots in the last game. This one's a little bit more one-sided even on top of that. 7-2 at this point. George Fox in half this game have only found themselves 2 shots. Meanwhile, MBU, they're also shooting above 50%. Now, we've got to point that out. That is not an easy thing to do in Rocket League by any stretch of the imagination. The fact that they are doing so and doing so with a large percentage of goals, rather impressive.
I will say we're just at the 2-minute mark, and just now we had the first George Fox player cross that 100-point threshold, which, yes, I know points are not everything in Rocket League, but at the very least, it does give a half-decent indication of how much contribution you've had on the ball. And for not a single player on the George Fox team to have 100 points until roughly this point in time in this game is very concerning. That speaks to a team that is having trouble just getting involved in any way in the play, but also speaks to MBU's ability to keep their opponents from ever getting involved in the first place. They have been absolutely everywhere on this ball. If one attempt doesn't work out, doesn't matter, because they're going to have a second, third, fourth attempt in a row until something goes their way. They are absolutely ruthless.
This is it's just this continual nuisance play that we spoke about before, getting in the face of your opponent, making them uncomfortable, and just not giving them the room to develop a play. And that's what we're seeing right now. MBU, if they are going to be backed into their own half, they're not really going to give a lot of space for a player to take a shot. We do see a shot there. Blue Phoenix makes a fantastic save, but that's the thing. Never really felt like MBU were going to give up a goal there. They looked very comfortable and prepared for whatever offense was going to be thrown at them from George Fox here. So with 45 seconds left, technically there is a chance to at least get that spark of life here for George Fox. The win, unfortunately, is out of the question, but they need that spark of life. They need something to give them that offensive pressure that they found in the first minute of game 1, because aside from that first minute, they really have not found it.
Blue Phoenix looking for the clearance. Oh, okay. Okay, right place, right time. Technically a double tap. Take that off your bingo card. Snorlax. Clearance off the nose, 0 boost. We'll leave it to Landon. Oh, that one is just about on target off of that crossbar. That one's just wide. Phoenix getting disrupted here. Landon trying to put it on target, but yet again, the shot falling a little bit short of on target.
No.
Dread over to Blue Phoenix will make it 5 for no reason other than they simply can. It didn't need to happen, but they could, so it did.
That is, I don't know if heartbreaking is the right word, devastating at a certain point for George Fox. They are getting within inches of being able to find themselves that first goal, and then all of a sudden, turns around. MBU put in a 5th, and actually realizing, no, they did have to do that. They keep the streak alive. 2 5-0 games in a row now at this point, Lychee.
Fair. Fine, keep streaks alive. No hate towards them. George Fox, again, yet another 5-shot game. Yet another 0-goal game. Bass, I need a little bit of help. I don't really know what else to say about George Fox. I don't know. I feel like we found the limit of how many ways there are to skin a cat, per se. MBU are hands down the better team right now. I genuinely did not expect it to be so one-sided. The numbers pointed to, if anything, a slight advantage in Missouri Baptist's favor, but 2 5-goal games in a row. This was very much not on the cards, at least not for me personally. I'm very surprised right now at what we've been seeing.
I'm astonished, and unfortunately for George Fox, they're going to have to pick their jaw up off the floor and no longer be as astonished, because the reality is that we said this before going into this one. Game differential really matters here with both of these teams just on that line of playoff here. If George Fox go 0-3 on the night here, that might just eliminate them from playoffs. I can't confirm that for sure, but this is where they need to really just sort of buckle down and play their best Rocket League here. If they do not, MBU are not only going to put themselves probably basically into playoffs and guarantee themselves a spot, but they're going to knock their opponents out as well here. So this is going to be an interesting one. I've got faith in this series continuing here, but the reality is that George Fox needs to find that spark of life here. While they have not played poorly throughout this series, it is very clear, like you said, MBU have the advantage, and they look to carry that advantage into a sweep here in Game 3.
Time for that team in that light blue color to make something happen. Dig deep, as we've been saying all throughout this evening. Shrigg over the top of Shadow Dog. Landon sending this down to the face of Dreads. Both teams clearly happy to play a little bit of ping pong, just back and forth, very reminiscent of the South American play style. Blue Phoenix will get the scoring started nice and early. That's 1-0.
Oh, that's just a nice play all around here. Blue Phoenix, that is such an underrated angle. A lot of people don't really give credit to where it's due when you're going basically, I would say horizontally next to the goal there, pretty much parallel with it, and then somehow get an angle going towards the other end there. Fantastic. Honestly, just a really good shot here. And the unfortunate truth is that we don't need any more compliments on the side of MBU. You guys have already soaked up enough compliments here. It's time to give some light to George Fox, but not quite able to do so yet. They're pressed back into their half yet again here. And unfortunately, Lychee, it's the same old story here at this point. MBU get this pressure, and once they find their first goal, it's just an absolute onslaught of shots afterwards.
Onslaught of shots. There you go. Blue Phoenix, number 2. I think you hit the nail on the head, Bass. I think we're just gonna we're in store for more of the same here. At this point, it's MBU's series to lose, and I would never be foolish enough to say that they are in any risk of losing the series. But man, at the very least, I want George Fox to get on the board, Bass. I can't even believe I'm saying that, but we're in game 3, and MBU are 3 minutes and change from having a perfect sweep, keeping their opponents from ever getting on the score sheet once. And it's not often that you see teams at this level. Yes, we're in Navigators, but both of these teams were in playoff contention, and I say were because I do very much think that that's about to change. It's not often that you see teams at this level, you know, be able to shut somebody out so confidently. I'm at a bit of a loss for words.
It's just, it isn't what we expected. I don't think we can say this enough times before it really rings home that this was supposed to be a close contest between two very even teams here. And I will give credit where it's due. George Fox definitely do look a lot stronger here in this third game, but the reality is aside from that one play, MBU don't look like they have missed a beat. They still look just as consistent as before and seem to have that same sort of offensive pressure. And I mean, the stat line alone really should epitomize that. 6 shots to MBU, a single one to George Fox through half a game played here in game 3. It's one of these things where, as close as it may be, the edge has always been for MBU, and beyond it just being an edge at this point, it's a razor-sharp knife. They completely have this series in their grasp. As you mentioned before, it's their series to lose, and with 2 minutes and 20 seconds remaining, I just don't see it happening.
Well, at the very least, fingers crossed for George Fox to get on the scoreboard here. Shadow Dog, oh, the dribble. Okay, almost the fake out working. Dreads was there to keep the momentum going in MBU's favor. Dreads rotating out now. Blue Phoenix waiting for this one to waterfall down. Big Shrig will clear this, but only as far as Shadow Dog. Knocking it back mid. Oh, almost feeding that all the way in himself. Dreads will kill the ball, stop it from passing that halfway line. Shrig will continue the momentum. Up high off this corner wall. Dreads over the top of Landon. Shadow Dog. Backboard pass. Dangerous. You hear the jump in the background, but not a single MBU player was able to get to that. Bass, we're at the point where MBU doesn't really need to find the back of the goal anymore. They can afford to just clear this ball long and only send a single player upfield to have, you know, a solo play effort, because at this point, it's not really worth risking anything. They've got it in the bag as far as they can tell. They kind of just need to burn the clock down.
Yeah, this is just about wasting time at this point. There literally is no reason for MBU to score another goal here, even if they give up a goal, as long as they hold on and just waste time. Don't allow that pressure that George Fox has been so desperate for throughout this series, then they should have this one. Like we said, this is one of these things where this was MBU's game to lose from the minute that first game got underway here, and the minute we started to see the momentum fully fall in favor of this team. I can't help but feel a little bit cheated here. I really did want a good back and forth here, and while MBU and George Fox did not play poorly here, MBU playing very well, and George Fox just, again, not quite able to literally live up to their name here, but they didn't play bad. I just really wanted Game 5, man. Game 5s are always so much fun to watch.
You and me both, babe. You and me both. Dreads getting knocked out. Final 20 seconds. All but a formality at this point. Blue Phoenix knocking it across to Dread. Picks it back over to Blue Phoenix, the 1-2 pass. Final seconds ticking down. Shadow Dog will clear this. That will just about do it, Mr. Bass. That will do it indeed. Goal number 3, why not? Yet another buzzer beater. Blue Phoenix getting on the score sheet. That is a hat trick. 50% shooting in this game alone. Is that more? It's just about as many points as his teammates combined. This was the Blue Phoenix show, this match, and it was the MBU match. From the word go until lights came out at the end of game 3. MBU, I mean, this is a team that is going to go very far in playoffs if they're capable of putting an identical record team in their back pocket, as we just saw right here.
Yeah, this is a team that I think really does facilitate each other very well. At the beginning of this match, we saw Blue Phoenix not necessarily be this pop-off player, but by the end of the match, they really were that pop-off player. And that's something that's so valuable for a team, is that when you're playing as a team, you guys do really well. When you're playing with individual players popping off, you're doing really well. The fact that you can do both of those makes you a dual-edged sword there, and it makes it such a harder thing for anybody to try and attack there. So I have faith in this team to really have a decent playoff run here. And I think after the performance here today, it just gives me further faith in that. But it's not going to be easy. There's a lot of really good teams here, like we saw out of the Concordia squads, more specifically Concordia, Wisconsin, who just played out of their minds. There's a lot of good teams here in this division. So it's about being careful. Take the wins where you can get them, take that momentum and carry it into playoffs here. And, well, I would say, unfortunately for George Fox Gray here, I think that actually is going to knock them out of playoff contention. They fall down to, I believe it is 3 and 4 overall. And while that is not a completely impossible position to come back from, I think the game differential at this point now is no longer in their favor enough that they can make it back. So, unfortunate circumstances. It's not set in stone. Again, don't take my words as definite here. I'm going to have to crunch the numbers a little bit more from everything that happened this week here. But I think a big thing here for this George Fox team is going to be looking at this one and understanding that they're going to need to come back next time. This is not the worst loss that they will take, but it's definitely a learning experience, to put it simply.
Yeah, could not agree more. George Fox will be 4 and 3, so on the absolute edge. On the upside, for the winning opponents here, MBU sitting nice and strong with that 5 and 2 record, solidifying themselves in a pretty good kind of mid-table finish when it comes to playoff qualification. Got some teams above them, so it will make things difficult, but got plenty of teams below them, so they're definitely in with a shot. And as we've seen, and as we said earlier tonight, the Navigators division is the lowest level here at the NECC, and so consistency can, kind of ebb and flow a little bit as a competition goes on. We saw right here, this was gameplay by an MBU team that, for me, I think I would have loved to see Wisconsin go up against MBU. I think that would have been a banger of a match. I think that, honestly, I think that's a pretty good shout for a potential final, wrap-up match when we get towards the tail end of playoffs. I wouldn't be surprised if that wound up happening. But MBU absolutely did the job that needed to happen, put their opponents in their back pocket. Things are going well for them. The rest of the season looks pretty good for them, but I do believe mathematically that pretty much locks up playoffs for themselves.
Yeah, most likely here. And, well, we're going to have to find out. At this point, it's about just sort of sticking around here for not only the end of this night, but sticking around next week for the final week of the regular season to see what happens at this point. I mean, there really is a ton going on in Rocket League in the NECC right now. There's a lot of teams who are just barely on that cusp. And if you want to keep up to date with all of this, make sure to stay tuned. Make sure to tune on in and make sure to come on back here. We're going to go to a quick little break, get back with our final matchup of the night. And I have to say goodbye to the beautiful face next to me in Lychee here, but we will be back with another fantastic caster who you'll have to find out about. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a couple of moments.
will not give you regular. suspicious mind. We can go on together with suspicious mind, and we can build our dreams on suspicious minds. I've seen the world, done it all, had my cake now. Diamonds, brilliant and brilliant now. But summer nights, mid-July, when you and I were forever wild. These crazy days, city lights, the way you'd play with me like a child. Well,
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the NECC Rocket League week number 6 here, and this is going to be our last match of the night. My name is Bass in the Past, and joined alongside me, a new face to the booth for the day. Welcome, Novanta, back again, my friend. We've had the pleasure of casting a couple of times this season, but we get to close out tonight with another incredible banger. It is going to be the Challenger Cyan Division, Sacramento State versus UBCO. Both of these teams with multiple wins on the record. UBCO, I believe, at 3-2, and I think Sacramento State as well, also at 3-2. So this is an interesting one. It kind of has playoff implications. Loser of this one basically needs a win in the final week of the season.
That's what makes it so interesting. You can call it the main event, a West Coast nightcap, if you will, or maybe an international incident as California, United States, taking on British Columbia and the Canadian side. And well, Bass, we were here in Challengers. You know it's going to be very, very competitive. And you're right. Playoff implications are on the line. We're just a couple of weeks away from that playoff picture. So we want to make sure that each team has the best possible side, looking for the best possible result.
Yeah, that's the big thing here, is really putting yourself on the best foot forward to try and get into that playoffs, and not only get into playoffs, but really give yourselves a good chance at a good seeding and a deep run. And that's one of the most important things here, is in a division that is so incredibly competitive. The number one team in this division is 5-1, but not 5-1 by getting away unscathed. They are 17-8 with only a +9 differential overall. And then you look down at the lowest team that's currently possibly going to make it into playoffs here. They're 2-3 at 9-10, almost exactly 500 overall. That's what this league is right now. That's exactly what Challenger Cyan is really competitive teams all ready to take that position if you slip up. So unfortunately, for whichever team loses here today, that is going to be that slip up. Someone's going to try and pounce and take over in that position. And I don't know about you, Novanta. I don't really know who it's going to be.
Yeah, neither do I, but you got to put one foot in front of the other. This isn't European soccer. There isn't an award at the end of the season for being top of the table. It's about that playoff picture. And yes, you want to be able to cut through the most path of least resistance, but it's one series a week, one game a week to put forward first. So you got to focus on who's going to come across it with the victory now. Teams are getting ready now to have this best of 5 series. I'm in the booth with Bass from the past, and let's get started.
Here we go. Game number 1 here. This is going to be an interesting back and forth. Like we said, pretty even on paper. A slight edge, I would say, goes to UBCO here, but it's a slight of an edge as you can get. Not even close to razor sharp. It is probably pretty dull, which means we should get a pretty good back and forth here. At least I would keep my fingers crossed and hope so. But first, let's see who can really set themselves on the best foot forward here in just game number 1. 30 seconds gone in this one, and so far it has been a tentative back and forth, but shots starting to fly on target here. UBCO having to endure a decent amount of pressure. We'll start to get a counterattack together here, but very short-lived. Back out to midfield here. Young Ube going to have a nice little 1-2 punch there. It's completely dismantling the defense, and now slow-burning offense building for Sacramento State. This would be huge if they can find an early goal.
Early out in this one yet, but you see both teams are using the wall to their advantage. That definitely says a mark about a team that's willing to be reserved in their attack and not put themselves to be exposed there with a shot on the frame so early. That means these teams are winning for the long haul. They're looking to see which strategy can work, because we said this before in other streams here at NECC there at Bath. It's good to have one strat, but you need multiple ones to stop attacks like that one. What a shot!
And there we go. First goal of the game here. Sacramento State going to find themselves their first goal just about a minute into this one. And there's that little bit of taking advantage that we've talked about so many times here tonight. UBCO not quite able to make a touch off the backboard there. And before you can even blink, Sacramento State already in there with a goal. That could be the separating factor. When you have two teams this close, every once in a while, it's really just about who takes advantage of the little mistakes.
Yeah, it's about who's a little bit more aggressive, who's a little bit more gritty, who's able to have that one challenge where most teams will fall back. I always say it's under the umbrella of creativity, but sometimes a lot of gritty teams can have innovative shots, and that right there could have been one to tie it up, but it was cleared away there at Bass. Look, both these teams understand what's at stake, and you could tell both teams are turning up the pressure.
Really turning up the pressure here. A really good back and forth, but unfortunately, as much as pressure is fantastic, may not be enough. UBCO still need to find themselves a goal here. With 2 minutes of play and 3 shots on target, they still haven't found that threatening of an offense. Sacramento State may have been pressed into their own half, but this is something we spoke about. It's one thing to get pressure. It's another thing to put a good shot on target, and we haven't seen one from UBCO in quite some time. Let's see, maybe they can get something together here. PC gonna try and get a decent touch, but Sauce Prophet sends this one the other way. Tries to put a shot on target, but not quite able to. Sham West almost able to completely clear out the goal and does get the demo, but unfortunately, it was a little bit too late, so the shot that was necessary was a bit of a wide angle, and I gotta say, for a team that we expected to maybe have not necessarily, not the edge in this match, but for it to be pretty even, this one looks entirely in favor of Sacramento State. They by far look like the stronger team right now.
It's almost like a wrestling match, you have two prize fighters locking up in the middle of the ring, and right now it looks like UBCO is against the ropes, asking the rep to break the hold. But a lot of Rocket League can play in a 5-game series. That's why we like 5-game series, because it is a little bit of that strategy for now and for games 2 and 3 if need be. And that's what I'm talking about, digging deep, and Caden ties it up.
And there we go. It's a little bit inevitable here. UBCO had been looking for their first goal throughout this entire game, and all it takes is one little bit of vulnerability. They're just dribbling in front of the air, or in front of the net for a bit too long there. And like we said, two very fast teams. You give them a shot like that, Novanta, they're gonna hit it.
Yeah, we always want to be able to say, if you have the lead, to make sure you get that second goal as quick as you can. Pat, as we say in these streets there, Bass. Because once you get your opponent back in the game, once they figure out how to beat you one time on defense to get something on the board, then it becomes a whole different game of carball.
Oh, 100% momentum, a huge thing in Rocket League. And once you break that seal, it's pretty hard to put it back on here. And at this point, I think Sacramento State are starting to recognize that. UBCO really on the prowl right now. With just about 100 seconds remaining, they absolutely have the time to find another goal. And they find it here. PC, good first touch. It will be blocked by Ube again, but it's not going to alleviate the pressure quite yet. UBCO still on the prowl. And Caden puts this one to the backboard. As the flip reset, what can they do with it? They can put it center. PC is there. It's a fantastic save on the side of Sacramento State, but we've spent about 30 to 40 seconds now, and it's been all UBCO on offense.
Great to see to have that shot so close to being in frame and being swatted away at the last moment. It was almost like Thor's hammer against Captain America's shield. This is what I'm talking about with teams. Want to make sure they dig deep to find a way to get a path to victory. If brute force don't work, you have to find something more clever, and that's why both teams currently are using the walls and corners to their advantage.
Yeah, they're really trying to build up these plays here, play rather methodically, and wait to see these two guys just sort of who's going to break first. Which team is going to be the one that shows that little bit of an opening? There it was. UBCO almost able to find themselves that second goal, but with 45 seconds left, it's back to the drawing board, but maybe only momentarily. PC will put in the second. Again, another inevitable goal. That slow burn for UBCO really paying off.
That's a shot you definitely spam you after you make it happen. You had your opponent with their pants down. You have to execute. That first shot went a bit awry, and I was a little bit concerned, but thankfully, PC made a quick work of that 2-1 in favor of UBCO.
Fantastic game so far here from UBCO, especially after, I would say, probably the first 2 to 3 minutes of this game was entirely in favor of Sacramento State. To see the turnaround where all of a sudden UBCO are really getting into it, put it on shots like that. But again, the turnaround, it really is that adaptation and that adaptability that can separate teams at this level. And with 15 seconds left, it might just separate them for this first game here. Sacramento State, though, not backing down. A lot of good pressure, looking for that first goal. But 50-50 for Ube. He's going to go to the other end. And Chaco, all they need to do is waste time. They'll even give Caden a shot. It's not going to make a difference, though. PC just needs to spike this one down, and they will indeed do that. UBCO take the first game of the series and comeback victory. An impressive one at that, Novanta.
It definitely was that meme where it's like, call an ambulance, but not for me, right? I was going to write them off. I was like, man, this Sac State was so great, but UBCO found a way to go through that defense. And not only have to win in this one and one game of the series tally, they have a strat for game 2.
They really do have a strategy at this point. And it's also really telling to see when you see a squad that has a strategy and is executing upon that strategy pretty correctly, but they don't necessarily all have the same roles there. 2 of the players for UBCO there had 5 shots apiece, and then I believe it was Choco who had 0. Just played on the back end, played that little bit of that midfield presence, and locked down the half. And that actually really is one of those things that it's a very telling sign when you can see a team that understands the roles they're going to play for that match and how they're going to operate in the matchup. If they execute upon that as well as UBCO do, they can control the series.
Absolutely. Both teams having a lot of saves in their tally, which means that even though the defense is pretty strong, both teams kind of figure out how to get to that last shot on frame. Now it's about how do you fake out your opponent at the last possible moment to draw out that defense, to leave that net open wide.
Let's see who can find that net open wide and take advantage. Apparently, it's going to be Sacramento State. They're going to find the first goal, and 5 seconds into this one, I'll be honest, with 2 players up for that one, I did not think we'd see a goal this early.
Well, there's a shot up there that drew the defense and bringing the shot down exactly as Novanta predicted it. I want to give myself a gold star, Bass. Woo!
Hey, you deserve a gold star at this point, my friend. And, well, unfortunately for UBCO, they would have liked to hold on to their gold star, but just like Mrs. Puff taking it away from SpongeBob, they have been ripped away of their win here in that first win, or in that first game here. It could be all tied up, and we go to a best of 3 if Sacramento State can hold on. With 4 minutes remaining over that, actually, they're going to really have to try and pull this one back. UBCO with an equalizer.
You know, that goal was great when I was dodging that shot from here in the booth. That was a top 90. I thought the post would have caught that, but it wasn't. Clean as a whistle, and we're tied up at 1.
Beautiful way to equalize here, in UBCO showing they're not going to miss a beat. Maybe Sacramento State will turn up the heat on their offense, but that does not mean that they're going to cool down here. Right back to their offense, right back into the face of their opponents. And it's a risky challenge out from midfield from PC here, but it should lead to a UBCO offense. Caden pops this one out to PC, who's going to try and redirect, gets it back to Caden. This one's going to fall off the waterfall. Can they see another touch? They can! Perfectly keeps it in front of the net, and Choco will put in the the lead for UBCO.
Who gets the credit, but it really was Caden. Seeing that pass in the mid pitch, totally unmarked, putting it on frame, and much like the first game, you had that first goal from Sac State. That lead was there, but now it's gone. UBCO is in the driver's seat, and not only a minute has elapsed here in Game 2 there, Bass.
This has been an interesting one. Game 2 starting to show that offensive prowess that we expected out of the two teams, but after seeing a little bit of a tentative start, we weren't really sure if it was going to arrive, but finally it has. 1 minute into game number 2 here, a very interesting back and forth, but the question is can UBCO do another comeback victory here? It's looking like they might. Sacramento State had the lead in game number 1 as well, and unfortunately lost grip of it. This time, they have plenty of time to try and equalize again here. 3 minutes, 40 seconds left on the clock, and although Sacramento State are in their own half, they should be able to survive. Sham West is going to make sure of that. A fantastic on-the-line save, and Sacramento will get a moment to breathe.
Well, that was a situation that both teams didn't want to find themselves in. It was so close to having a goal past that net and so close to conceding one. Look, you say this before, even though the scoreline is very similar to the first game, it does seem that Sac State is not quite as sure of themselves, and this is a mental game, and so close to having the equalizer there, and I don't know, things are breaking down left and right here, Bass.
Well, you're starting to feel the pressure of this second game here. UBCO recognized the Sacramento State really do want that next goal here, and they're getting a little bit nervous on the back end. Don't want booming clears that are just going to give them possession again, so they're trying to keep this one close, but how close should they really be keeping it when they're right on top of each other? This clumping from the side of UBCO is going to leave them in some awkward positions, but the good thing is they've survived for now, just about halfway through this game, and still hold on to that 1-goal lead. How much longer can they do so? Sacramento State still pressing the issue, still knocking on their door, even getting some demos along the way. Jam West needs to get 50-50 here. Not quite able to find it, so Choco now send it to the other end. And I will say this, if UBCO can find themselves another goal here as we just move past halftime, it's not going to guarantee them the game, but a 2-goal safety net would be huge for this UBCO squad.
Yeah, but at the same time, if you're looking at Sac State, you're understanding how much pressure the other end is. That could be another shot there for UBCO. You got to think of the game in thirds, right? There's a first session, there's a halfway point at 2 minutes 30 seconds, and that witching hour at 1:30. You have to put yourself in a position to score at least those three sections at least. When you don't do that, then you start to have questions about your offensive attack. And if I'm Sac State right now, win, lose, or draw, those are things you have to ask yourself as you get closer to the playoffs.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting one here, and I'm also interested in your thoughts on this one. We have about 100 seconds left, so there's still plenty of time for Sacramento State to bring this one back, but Sacramento State goes down by 2 in this series here. Do you see them getting that reverse sweep or even really having the shot here? Because it kind of feels like the further we get into the series, the more UBCO has a control over the entire series.
There's kind of a cascading effect when you have a goal conceded that turns into a game drop that comes to dropping 2 games in the best of 5 that can really be your own worst enemy. It's definitely possible. But you take that minute between games, you calibrate, you say, hey, look, I messed up here. Let's work on this now because it's do or die. It's possible, but it's a very, very thin needle of thread there, Bass.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And they'd prefer to not have to even try it at this point here. Sacramento State are fighting. They understand that they don't want to have to be backs against the wall. A perfect position is not exactly what they're going to find if they take the win here, but it'll at least be all evened up, and we get a best of 3 from here on out. First, we need to get there. 50 seconds left, and Sacramento State backed into their corner yet again. PC going to force a double commit out of the team, and that's going to open up the net. It took one little misplay on the back end, and that was enough. UBCO will find another.
Again, I don't want to take the credit away from Choco because that was the second goal and it was clean, but I got to give another goal star, if you will, to PC. Being able to drop back, see that ball being cleared, to be that wall, to put it back on that other side of the pitch. That right there was class. 3-1.
Yeah, that was a very, very good play overall here. And the unfortunate truth is that now Sacramento State really are backs against the wall here. 40 seconds left, and they don't even need one goal. They need two. They need that first goal to just be the catalyst to get this offense going. But speaking of offenses going here, UBCO looking a whole lot more confident. Maybe that's going to be at the detriment of the team. They're forced back into their half yet again, only for a moment. Caden, pass out to PC. Good 50-50. While it may not lead to a goal, it has led to the win here. UBCO, in my opinion, have wasted enough time now that there is not a possible comeback out of Sacramento State, especially if a fourth goal goes in for UBCO. 4-1 here with 8 seconds left, and we're going to move into Game 3 with a 2-0 lead here for UBCO Novanta. This is what we were talking about. Backs against the wall. Sacramento State need a reverse sweep to win this.
A reverse sweep, but I want to give a shout out there for UBCO. You get 1 minute, maybe 90 seconds in that first game to analyze your opponent, to find out their weaknesses like Mega Man, and they found a way to do that. It's one more game they have to do to get themselves this series here in 3 straight games. It's not over yet for Sac State, but their backs are against the wall. Wow.
Oh, my word. It might as well be, though, if PC is making saves like that. What on earth are you going to get past this defense if you can't get a shot like that to hit the back of the net? Sacramento State really are going to have to go back to the drawing board. Like you said, take this next minute in between games here and really figure out where they're missing their pieces of the puzzle here, because it's one of these things where, yes, UBCO definitely have the lead right now, and it feels like they are in favor, but it doesn't feel like Sacramento State are out of this by a long shot. You look at the last game, it's a 1-goal difference here. You look at this one, it was a 1-goal difference until the last minute of the game. So Sacramento State just needs a little bit of adjustment. If they can do so, which in my opinion, I think starts with their defense, they will absolutely be able to keep this series alive.
You're absolutely right, Bass. I know when it comes down to being back against the wall, a caster will say, be more aggressive. And I actually agree here, but it doesn't mean bumps. I don't mean demos in this case. Although if you get some demos off, props to you. Right? We're seeing this defense from Sac State, a little bit more zone, occupying spaces, but that's not working for them. It's a bit too passive when you come down to UBCO's attack. You have to go man-to-man, car-to-car, Rocketeer to Rocketeer, get in their faces there. There's no reason why PC should have so much space to put a ball back into your half. That should have been way past them, way past cleared. So tighten those spaces up. You may have some opportunities to have UBCO make some mistakes to capitalize on in Game 3.
Oh, 100%. We were talking about this in an earlier series here today, and I'll talk about it again because it's my favorite development of the meta over the last year is that nuisance annoyance playstyle. Get in the face of your opponents, don't give them the room to breathe, and just continue to suffocate them every time that they try and develop a play, because it really is the meta right now, is if you don't let your opponents, who usually have pretty good offensive prowess, develop that offensive prowess, it becomes a defensive battle of who cracks first. And sometimes that can be good if a team has a good defense. Sometimes it can be bad if they don't have a good defense here. But I would say for Sacramento State at this point, they have proven they do have a solid defense. If they can just limit the options that UBCO have and find shots of their own, this series can absolutely continue.
You know, as a performer, one of the things I always say is the power of subjective time. When the ball is in front of your car, you think you don't have enough time in the world, but you have a lot more moments to think and decide than you give credit for. So yes, Sac State has to have a minute, take a breather, blink, and find out what their next move is going to be, or else it's going to be a quick night for them.
Unfortunately, so backs against the wall. Game 3 underway here. Sacramento State need a win just to survive here, and beyond just survive, they probably need a win for their playoff chances as well. Like we said, in this Challengers Cyan division, it is so incredibly close between every single team, and taking a 3-0 loss against a squad that is basically even with you is not going to help you out whatsoever. So Sacramento State need to find themselves a goal here, need that catalyst. They get very close within this first minute, but unfortunately, Novanta not quite able to find that goal yet.
I mean, I think it counts as a save, but that's the save you don't want to make. The back of your car being the last-ditch effort. That could have been an own goal situation. Again, a little bit on ice skates here for UBCO. Championship hangover, if you will, and that might be the opportunity that Sac State needs to get themselves a game in this series.
And that's the big thing here is they've got them on the ropes, really have them in a very uncomfortable position. They just need one good shot. They also need a defense to slouch a little bit here. Caden with a fantastic save on the line, and UBCO looking like they might have found some comfort on their defense again. They're now going to start going the other way. Caden backflip, though, leaves it for Choco instead, who doesn't really get that good of a touch. Ube, a good 50-50. He's going to pop this one back out to midfield, and Sacramento State forced back into their own half. Unfortunately, despite 90 seconds or so of just complete offensive pressure, they couldn't find that first goal. They can find it here, another offense building, but no, Caden will drop this to PC, and unfortunately for Sacramento State, I think they have squandered their first big opportunity.
That opportunity there, and PC makes them pay for it. That double commit at the top of the key of that backboard was just easy pickings for PC to take the scraps off that like a dog at Thanksgiving dinner, bringing it down from the heavens, 1-0 UBCO.
I really do have to shout out PC for a second here. Like you said, scrappy player, really just getting in the face of Sacramento State, embodying that nuisance play style we spoke about earlier, where they're just winning 50-50s on repeat here. Even if it doesn't directly lead to a goal, they're at least making the Sacramento State team have a difficult task in order to get a single goal, and, well, they will find one, and it's a pretty intricate shot to find it as well.
Young Ube taking that long bomb from Sauce Prophet to see your teammate to bring it down and execute. Those are the kind of spirit-building goals that really put you back in the game.
If that's how you get a team back on their feet there, that's how you give the momentum back in their favor and really find that spark of life we've been looking for out of Sacramento State. And they find another goal, not quite yet. Sham West, as one day I'll be able to pronounce that name, has been looking for a goal this entire night, looking to try and give the lead to Sacramento State. And while they haven't found the lead here in this game, they might just be able to. They are finally getting a threatening offense together, and that's a double commit though. Sham West has to dive in to just try and keep this offensive pressure, but you can see Sacramento State retreating as a whole. They recognize they overcommitted, and now they're going to have to endure a little bit of offense going the other way, or maybe not. Back out to midfield here, and Sauce Prophet's going to rip a shot on target. PC with a great save with a little bit of distraction in front of them, and this one's going end-to-end right now. I got to be careful, or excuse me, Sacramento State will need to be careful here, though. They're overcommitting in a couple of different places, and usually when you see an overcommit, it means you have to retreat and then kind of restart in your own half. They don't look like they're willing to restart right now, Novanta. They're just trying to keep up this pressure, and if they make a mistake, a team like UBCO are going to punish.
Yeah, a lot of ways that Rocket League can be like making your own song or a musical composition. The very moves you can make you think are great in the moment, but overall it becomes like a bad sound, a bad beat, a cacophony. You know what I'm saying? The idea is that you gotta make sure your rhythm for all your different teammates on your formation works out to your favor, or else you open yourself out for a counterattack.
100%. Again, that's why we talk about this one. When it really is this close of a stalemate, there's two ways that this wins, or that you win this one out. Either someone hits a ridiculous goal, like we saw earlier from Young Ube. So we've been shown that there is that pop-off potential, or the more likely scenario, the alternative, a defensive error. Someone makes a little bit of an error on the back end, and a team punishes. And with 70 seconds left, it's seeming like if that scenario does arrive, it might be the last goal we see. UBCO really pressing to try and close this one out here. They don't even want to let this series go to 4 games, and they can find that right here. PC, fantastic flick. Young Ube is there for the save and will bop this one the other way, so Sauce Prophet can try and rip off a shot, but it's the follow-up from Ube that hits the back of the net. Sacramento State take the lead with only a minute remaining.
Let's run this back. I didn't even see Young Ube on that clear, but to be able to put it the other side of the pitch and then catch your own pass, a la Cordell Stewart back in the day. Fantastic. I just dated myself. 2-1 there for Sac State. I'm an old man.
Hey, listen, you gotta love it, man. You've got better references than anyone else in the game, but unfortunately for UBCO, they need more than some clever references if they want a chance here. They need a goal, and can they find it? Choco shot on target, and with 45 seconds left, Novanta, we might be going to overtime.
I say not all goals are created equal. You fought to get that goal for Young Ube, and you see in the blink of an eye that lead has evaporated. You go to your teammates and go, what do we have to do to put UBCO away? This right here might be a game changer.
It really could be. I'm hoping we get an overtime here. Just as a fan of Rocket League, overtime game number 3 with a team back against the wall always delivers something special. But first, we've got to arrive there. UBCO and Sacramento State are both looking to clean this one up in regulation. Maybe Sacramento State can do that right here. They've got some pressure, and Sham West a good 50-50. Choco and Caden, though, both prepared on the defense here, and Caden in specific is now just going to try and relieve some of that pressure, and will do exactly that. Choco's got only 12 boosts in the tank, though. What can they do to set up their teammates? Not much. UBCO playing patiently out at midfield here. They're not going to rush this. They know they have time for one last shot.
Oh my God!
Be a banger! 6 seconds left and UBCO takes the lead.
I am sorry. There's so many times you sit in this booth as a commentator, you get kind of jaded, but the goals like that, the clock was running down, final 10 seconds, Caden, oh my goodness, UBCO.
And there it is. Like we said, you give them an opportunity, they will strike. 5 seconds left. Can Sacramento State find a strike of their own to keep this series alive? No such luck. 3-0 sweep in favor of UBCO. And I'll be honest, this is the least expected sweep I've seen all night.
Well, you know, it was definitely entertaining. And usually when it's a sweep situation, you say, oh, this one player this stood out. This one player was the MVP. But we saw a complete team performance from UBCO when it comes to international incident. Canada today came out on top.
It did indeed, and for us two California boys, that's a little bit of a bummer, but at the end of the day, we end up seeing some good Rocket League, and that's what we're hoping for here, and UBCO better be proud of the performance they put out here today. The honest-to-God truth is that they have now propelled themselves into a playoff position, and beyond just propelling themselves, they've strapped rocket boosters to their feet and have just flown through here. 3-0 over a team which is pretty on par with you guys and pretty even throughout the season, just goes to show you, they're ready for playoffs, and they want that championship.
If the form upholds, this will be an absolute threat to anyone in that division. With a complete performance, there's no third man. There is no first man. There was just scores and clears and goals and all that stuff. I'm telling you, this right here was maximum Rocket League.
Indeed, it was. This was everything we could have hoped for. The only thing we really could have hoped for was a little bit more of an extended series. But hey, Sacramento State gave it their all, and unfortunately, we're not quite able to extend that series like they had wanted there. They fall 0-3 on the day, but UBCO alternatively go 3-0 on the day, really putting themselves in a great position, like we said, for that playoff position. But unfortunately, what that does also mean, Novanta, is that we're at the end of our day as well. This has been the NECC Rocket League for myself, for Novanta. We want to thank you guys for watching on here. We want to give a shout out to Michael behind the scenes, who's been helping us with production all day, as well as all the other casters that hopped into the booth here. I'm trying to think of everybody that was on today. I think it was Hail Monkey Man, Bear Light, Hypheria, Lars, and Lychee as well. So shout out to all of those guys for hopping into the booth and joining us here and providing some excellent commentary. But Novanta, like I said, we have come to the end of the day. Thank you for joining me here in the booth. Thank you guys at home for watching along. But if you want some more collegiate esports action, tune in tomorrow for even more action here at the NECC. It won't be Rocket League. It'll be another esport, but you're just going to have to tune in and find out what. See if our producer can let me know real quick. Is it going to be Rainbow Six? Rainbow Six it is. It will be Rainbow Six tomorrow. So tune in tomorrow for some Rainbow Six action. But like I said, that is the end of this one. Have a great rest of your night, and we will see you next time.